Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. Today's video I want to talk about this 1-1 Chelsea game, the drama of that, and where we saw some improvements, if there was anything maybe not so good, and how it compares to the Tottenham game overall and the progress of the team. Talk about the striker situation as it continues to be a concern that we'll highlight a little bit in the review of Chelsea. Talk about the Frimpong news out there, the right back, the Dutch right back, I believe, who's playing in Germany. And then talk about some injury updates, including some information I have on one Anthony Martial. So let's get into it. Chelsea, obviously, a 1-1 draw. I think it was a fairly even game. I would say even to United should have won type of thing. It would have been fair if United won. A draw is kind of fair. A loss would have been totally against the grain, but a draw at Stamford Bridge is about all we can expect in recent years, so not unhappy with it. It leaves United 1 point off of the top four on even games, and based on the results that happened with Tottenham and Newcastle, a win would put United even or level on points with Tottenham over Newcastle. A win at the weekend, I should say, should put United over Newcastle, level on points with Tottenham, and potentially over Chelsea. So we could see ending the weekend in the top four if a Chelsea result goes our way, a draw or a loss, and a United win. But considering the start of the season, not bad at all, right? So anyway, 1-1 Chelsea. Late penalty by McTominay was very silly, very stupid to come on and do that. It was just dumb, just straight up dumb. There's nothing else to say about it. It was just dumb. Can't justify it in any way. The late header from Casemiro on the cross from Shaw was spectacular. Fantastic to see Shaw getting an assist. I believe he got the assist, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Shaw got the assist, right? But Casemiro getting the goal, getting his first done in that fashion at that time, it felt a lot like justice that at least we got the goal to walk away with a draw. Like I said, a loss would have felt very harsh. Overall, the performance was good. It was not as good against obviously a tougher team in Chelsea. It was better until Chelsea made the change and added to the midfield, and I felt that the setup was bad at that point in time. I think that the one change that was made that I want to debate and talk about and show some numbers to back this up, that a Ten Hag made, was to bring in Eriksen for Fred, and I think it was a mistake. I think it was the only mistake made was that, and I'll show you why in a minute. When Chelsea switched from their back five, added another person into the midfield, they completely were they won much more control of the game when that substitution was made by Graham Potter. They absolutely won more control of the game. And part of that is simply down to the fact that Eriksen just doesn't bring as much energy to the table as Fred, which is why I think it would have been better starting out with Fred and having the same setup. But let's look at some of the stats. Let's look at a few comparisons first. First and foremost, when you look at the pass map overall, it was a bit hectic. You still see what you want to see in the shape. Hang on, there was something else I wanted to show, but this is fine. You're still seeing this setup here at the bottom with Lissandro and Varane up high, Casemiro in the middle. The shape is still there. Dalot and Shaw up high, Antony there. Sancho, unfortunately, I think was very poor. Had a bit of a black hole. All these passes in, nothing out. Bruno played very high, was very involved. Rashford was dropping deeper and deeper to try and get involved, and I think struggled a little bit to get as involved. Obviously, there wasn't as much space in behind. There wasn't a lot for him, so he was coming a bit deeper to try to get involved, and struggled, I think, a little bit with that. A lot was going through Eriksen, who played in the same position as Fred, but stats-wise, I'll show you, I don't think that it provided more in a game like this, because we were not camped around Chelsea's box, and so it is a little haphazard, a little wacky at times. The spaces in the midfield were a bit too big at times, and Chelsea were able to walk through just a little bit, and that was the only thing I didn't totally love. Rankings wise, based on the weekend, Still good on box entries, shot creating actions, key passes, recoveries in opposition half, threat generated, incisive passes, shots and touches, still in the top. And considering its game against Chelsea being, you're not expecting to be a first or second, but fourth, fifth, and sixth is good. We still received a little bit too much, but still middle of the pack there. Obviously didn't score enough, don't cross that much. But still a good performance overall, considering that it was Chelsea. I mean, this is a tough team, a top 4 team, again. And they're third in a week now. If you look at it, we've played third, fourth, and fifth this week. And so I think overall that's great. So here's what I wanted to highlight, starting in the top right. Let me start on the left, actually, left of the screen. The whole point of shifting Fred to Eriksen is maybe you're trading off some of the defense for offense, and you need a bit more from Eriksen work rate wise in order to justify that change. But I want to highlight a few things here. Lisandro Martinez, incredible, 18 defensive actions. Casemiro, incredible, 13. They top the charts for defensive actions. Martinez and Casemiro, amazing still. Next down there was Shaw for United with 8. He's done amazing work. And Fred, even though playing less than half the game, also comes in at 7. So he came on and worked very, very hard defensively. Dalot 6, Fernandes 6, Rashford 5, Antony 5. And then you see all the way down here is Eriksen for 4. So not a great start. But I know this was the point I was making, is you're not going to get enough defense. You're not going to get enough ball winning when you play Eriksen. It's going to give the other team too much control in these big games. I don't like it that much, and I don't think it justified it. But Martinez and Casemiro and Shaw, I think, are Martinez especially, but Martinez, Casemiro have obviously come in and just been fantastic, and Shaw has really stepped his game up. Duels 1, Casemiro up there with 4, Rashford with 4, Martinez 3, McTominay 3. So, it comes down here again, Eriksen all the way down at 1, despite playing the whole game. Again, just not the grit in the midfield that you got, the steel that you got versus Tottenham. Possessions 1, Shaw topping the charts this time with 14. Shaw has been incredible defensively, doing the work, and then Casemiro coming in very close behind with 11. Dalot up there, he did really good work in that regard with 9. Fernandes also with 9. Eriksen with 7. So a little bit better there, but still not up there. I think against Tottenham it was Casemiro, Bruno, and Fred all at the top. But Shaw made up for a lot of work there, getting it done. I mean, fantastic. And then here's where I want to say why I say don't think it paid off, the change, because you see the loss in defensive work rate. In progressive actions, Shaw was tops with 10, incredible again. Dalot 13, so he progressed a lot more down the sides. Fernandes with 11, Antony 10, and then Casemiro down here with 9, same as Eriksen, and Rashford with 8. So there wasn't a standout progression from Eriksen in this midfield in this big game. And then the final one is best performance by shot creating actions. And Fernandes with 5, Casemiro 4, Antony 4, Shaw 3, and Fred 3 despite playing half the game, while Eriksen comes in with 2. So again, a good performance by Bruno, a great performance by Casemiro. Probably I think he would be the man of the match for me, him or Martinez easily. But Shaw should be up there as well. Casemiro, Shaw, and Martinez, that trifecta have been stunning. But again, the fact that only 2 shot creating actions in the whole 90 that Eriksen played, or the 80-something that Eriksen played, Fred comes on as a sub and creates more. That is my concern, is in these big games, I don't think that Eriksen has the graft to get up and down quickly, defend well, move the ball quickly in transition and also into attack. But we also had less possession still. That's the only thing I would say was wrong personally, and I stand by that because this is something I was watching for, is that in these bigger games, I would play Fred every single time, and he showed why versus Tottenham, what he did there, and I think we lacked a little bit of that grit and lost a little bit of control because of that, because the midfield was set up a bit differently. And then when Fred does come on, he's higher, Bruno's out wide. I didn't think that worked that well. I didn't think as a team that worked that well. I think the initial setup was better and would have worked better having stuck with the exact same team from Tottenham. That's the only thing. But all in all, the positive I would say about it is you're seeing a system. You're seeing consistency. The performance was pretty consistent with Tottenham. Not as good Tiredness also comes into play there. Not as good, but consistent. The same thing, able to dominate, able to be on the front foot, able to actually go into the Stamford Bridge and play against Chelsea and not be sitting parked in your own half all game. Big progress, big differences from prior weeks. And so the final thing I wanted to look at was this. This is the last 4 weeks. Not 4 games, I should say. So that's Chelsea, Newcastle, Tottenham, and Everton. I mean, that's 4 big games. 4 big games. Everton had conceded the least number of goals at the time. 3 games against ranked 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Look at this. Number 1 in shots. Number 1 in shot creating actions. Number 1 in key passes. Number 4 in recoveries in opposition half. Number 4 in successful box entries. Number 3 in incisive passes. Number 5 in touches. Haven't scored as much as we should, which explains goals as well as expected threat generated. We don't cross that much, and we received a bit too much, but we played against the 3rd, 4th, and 5th team. So all things considered, huge progress. Actually probably playing like the 2nd best team in the country, in the league at the moment. I think when you look at these numbers, it's as good. I could do a comparison to Arsenal or City, not that there's a point to it, but it's probably up there with them. And then let me fix something, because while I'm doing this, I just want to show something else here. Here we go. This is the right one. There we go. On the right, this is the position over these games. So you can see Sean Dallow moved up higher. The wingers are holding with. You can see the shape is there. Fernandes and Fred are overlapping a bit because they're alternating sides. That's okay. The biggest thing is that our strikers are still left dominant, and that's simply a matter of not having a real striker until Martial comes in. Even he plays off the left a little bit, naturally speaking. It's okay. That's probably the only thing, but you kind of understand it with all the, the right-footed from Bruno, the right-footed from Rashford. You understand it being off the left. Overall, great setup. So that kind of encompasses the progress as well, the progress section of this that I wanted to speak about, and leads is in a good transition to number 3 on the agenda today, which is the striker setup overall. Obviously continues to be a drama as Ronaldo is not there for the game. As I said, I think that Rashford struggled a little bit to get into it. Martial was still not available. We still need more, especially as it's getting further. We need a striker who's a real striker. I think Rashford would be way better on the left. I think Sancho's really not doing that well. Rashford playing on the left with Shaw, with how fantastic Shaw's been playing, and a striker down the middle is easily the best that we can perform. So the striker situation as it stands, there's a lot of questions. Some of this is up in the air right now. Here's what I know. There's an option for Ronaldo to go somewhere next summer. A realistic option for him to leave to somewhere else next summer. And the question is now, and what's being explored is, can that be moved up to January? Can that option be moved up to January? If so, and if possible, then he would go in January, and it would be wanted for him to go in January. So the 2 main names, clubs, interestingly enough, that come up are Chelsea and Inter Miami in terms of options, to for him to go. So we'll see if that can be moved up. If it can, then United will want to make a move. And this leads me into the next thing as well in terms of January is there's a lot of talk of this guy Frimpong as the right back, and I'm not sure about that. I'm not so sure that there's a reality where they're going to pursue him. My understanding, at least at the present, is that in terms of position, Ethan Laird, they want to bring him back. They don't want to spend a lot of money at right back. I'm not saying they're not watching Frimpong, but much like Liao, I'm not sure it's somebody that they're actually prioritizing as a signing, but is somebody of interest. And my point on this is more to this. If they spend anything in January, it's in attack. It's not at right back. I know Wan-Bissaka could technically leave, but it's more likely he stays until summer, then goes, Ethan Laird comes in, and then they can decide based on that point, unless Laird has a bad season or lots of injuries coming up, whether they need to buy someone else. They still have Brandon Williams as well. So, again, players that are being watched, but in terms of the priorities of the club, if anything is happening in January, it's predicated on Ronaldo leaving, which is not guaranteed, and likely to be an attacker far and away from anything else. That is the huge overlaying priority over everything, and that's where they're still looking at. And I've covered that more recently in other videos on who the targets might be. An interesting name just to bring up again, because it was mentioned by somebody, and I think I talked about it about 2 weeks ago, that Harry Kane would still be a huge top possible signing in summer, if for striker, for like the top choice. Now, by some people, now he fits Ten Hag to a T. The way he plays would be perfect in this system that we're seeing, but he is older. At the same time, going into a final year of his contract, if things aren't going well with Conte, if he ends up leaving, if Tottenham are out of the Champions League, Harry Kane will look to go. Could it be possible? He is a big target of United. He has been for a long time. He fits the team. If he's available for 60, 70 million, can you get any better? Is he a player who's good enough that will take you immediately to competing for titles based on how good this team has been? And at a pretty reasonable price when you compare that you're going to pay $125 million for someone like Victor Osimhen. What do you think about that? Leave me your thoughts on it. That's something I really want to hear from people. Would you take Harry Kane for 60, 70 million in summer from Tottenham to nail down that striker spot? Yes, maybe it's only 3 or 4 years, but he doesn't rely on his pace. So again, we see the impact of someone like Casemiro. Why not have a top striker for the next 3 or 4 years? We've got the time. We have young players in a lot of positions. I would do it. I would take it. I think that would be amazing, and I think it would instantly take this team to a title contending team. So that's what I would say. I would take Harry Kane in the summer as a striker, even if it meant not spending big in January, getting something, maybe some younger player who can learn under him or something like that, and getting Harry Kane in the summer. That's what I would do. So just one to keep an eye on in that. Someone mentioned, I think it was Ornstein mentioned in his video recently, and I think I said it a few weeks back, that he'd still be a striker target. Still is, always will be, and if things go bad with Conte and Tottenham, and right now they're on certainly on the downswing. It's not as rosy as it looked for a lot of people who are big, Conte fans recently. It's looking pretty good. Maybe he is on his way out and following maybe what could be a big World Cup too. So let's see what happens there. Harry Kane's always been interested in that kind of move. So last and not least is the injury news. The positive is Rafael Varane avoided a major injury after it looked very bad for him in the Chelsea game. He'll be out until the World Cup, but that's only 3 or 4 weeks, few games. We can manage. Maguire's back in training. Lindelof's done well. We'll probably alternate between the two of them, or even do Lindelof and Maguire again. But I think it's, Sheriff is a good game for maybe Lissandro to get some rest for once, and bring Maguire back into the side. But he'll be back after the World Cup for Varane, I think, which is fortunate, as he's obviously been so key. The partnership he's had in that back four, it's all been great. So avoiding anything major there. And then the other thing I've heard from my side, I've heard that they expect Anthony Martial to be ready for Thursday. Now, I don't know if that means starting or on the bench or just in the squad, but to be available for Thursday, barring any further setbacks. And it's been so many setbacks already, just out of the blue, another one as soon as he's healthy, that you'd hope if he's not available for Thursday, then there's been another one, unfortunately. But he should be available for Thursday. The target was around this time to be available before the end of the month, and that's where I expect it at the moment, that he should be back by that time, that he should be at least available for Thursday. So hopefully off the bench again, and hopefully not getting injured off the bench, and able to then start at the weekend and improving on his fitness. So that's what I've got. Leave me your thoughts on the game below. What do you think about what I discussed with regards to Fred and Eriksen? I know it's amusing that people were saying just a week ago, Fred has no place in the team, blah, blah, blah. I think he was better than Eriksen. His performance for Tottenham was much better than Eriksen's versus Chelsea. I think he would have fit the game a lot better. I would play Eriksen at the weekend against teams that are going to be parking the bus, and I would play Fred and Eriksen against Sheriff, though, and give Bruno a rest, for example. It's not about the Eriksen-Fred thing. It's just about balancing what each of them bring to the table. And I think in these bigger games, you want Fred's energy in there and ball winning and all that. Leave me your thoughts about the Harry Kane and the striker situation. Would you take Harry Kane? Would you take him for 60, 70 million versus 125 for a player like Osimhen? Would it make United title contenders? Let me know what you think. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.